We're here in Ramadi, Iraq at the Joint Security Station.
Azazia.
Yeah, I keep messing up, so I didn't want to say it. Interviewer's name is Doug Salapaska. Sir, would you please give us your first, middle initial, last name, and spell your last name for us, please?
Okay, Sergeant Werth, W-E-R-T-H, first name Robert, R-O-B-E-R-T, middle initial B.
Okay. And will you give us your unit that you're with all the way to division, please?
Alright, 3-7 Lima Company, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, 1st Marine Division.
And what augmentation team were you a member of?
Augmentation Team 3.
Okay. And we'll talk more about the augmentation teams later in the interview. I understand, sir. Oh, and the time periods we're covering, could you give those for us for the first time you were in Ramadi? What time periods were those?
First time was, it was in 2005 of September, and I came back in, I believe it was March, right about March in 2006.
Okay, we'll be calling that Ramadi 1 for this interview.
Okay.
And then for the second deployment, which we'll call Ramadi 2, was what time periods?
I came here in May of this year, 2007, and till now, which we'll be leaving November 2007.
Okay, so we're in Ramadi 2, which
Ramadi
is
2 right now, yes.
And that's strictly just what I am calling these deployments, just for simplicity's sake.
Okay.
Okay, sir, would you please just tell us what platoon, squad you're with, platoon commander, when you arrived for Ramadi 1?
Ramadi 1, when I arrived here, was my original platoon, was 2nd Platoon. My platoon commander was Lieutenant Reeves, and I was in a 2nd Squad.
Okay, what was your billet at that time and rank?
My billet at that time was PFC, and I actually...
What's that mean?
Private First Class.
Okay.
It's an E2 in the military. And I was actually a team leader. I picked up team leader a month before I deployed.
Wow, that seems like an awful lot of responsibility. A team leader. Now, a team leader's in charge of how many Marines?
A team leader's in charge of 3 Marines. He doesn't really doesn't have like the leadership responsibilities. What he does is he helps decentralize the command for the squad leader. The squad leader is ultimately in charge of all the 13 guys in his squad.
Okay.
And it goes squad leader, then team leader, and all it does is the squad leader's in charge of those 3 team leaders. The 3 team leaders are in charge of their 3 guys under them.
Okay, but you were still in charge of 3 other Marines.
Yes, 3 other Marines, first deployment.
As a PFC?
As a private first class, yes.
Okay. It seems like an awful lot of responsibility. And at the time you were how old?
I would have been, let's see, I just turned 19.
Okay, you just turned 19. Okay, so can you tell us anything about that first day where you were stationed in Ramadi? Because I understand there's actually several different camps and bases there.
I was stationed at Snake Pit, was our main base, was our company location, and I went around from Snake Pit to the entry control point south. We call it ECP2. It was the south bridge into the city. Snake Pit, though, was the original station that we came in on. It was the first place I put foot on the deck into Ramadi. We came in on 7 tons. We had all our packs and everything. Like I said, my first deployment, first day coming into the city. We rolled in. Our company gunny was there. Company gunny was there. He was came in on the advance party. He was there meeting us. We came in, unloaded our packs. We started getting off the truck. I got off the truck. I was looking for my packs. I was like literally off the truck for maybe like 5 or 10 seconds, and like mortars started landing. We had like 2 mortars land, and a rocket came flying by, and hit down on towards the canal over close to the ECP where we'd been at. So it was just like kind of a shock to me, like my first day there on the deck. Like I said, a PFC, and it was like just like holy crap, like wow, welcome to Ramadi.
Well, was that kind of the atmosphere it was like for the next?
And it was. It pretty much stayed that way, and we really got used to it, like all the way through. You wouldn't notice it as much. Like 5 months into it, like a mortar would land, and I'd be in my rack sleeping. Like we had, like our rooms were so barricaded, we were safe from them, and I'd just like roll over and put the pillow over my head, like oh man, I got woken up. Crap. It's amazing what you get used to being over there. When I got back to the States after that deployment, looking back on it, I was like holy crap, like I can't believe like I was just so indifferent to that. Like there were like bombs landing around me, and I just didn't care. And that just comes from being in that environment of like 7 months being there around it, it's just indifferent because you know it's going to happen. Like I said, at least once a week, most of the time like 2 or 3 times a week, mortars would land like in our base or around our base just constantly.
Okay, so that was pretty much normal being mortared.
It was very normal.
Okay. And during that time, how many like direct engagements were you involved in?
Only, if you'd call it a direct engagement, I was on post once and we took fire, a few shots at the post, and me and my postmate, we returned fire with the machine gun up there, and that was the only like direct fire where we took fire and we returned. Direct fire confrontations, they were very, very scarce because the enemy didn't really show their face like that, because if they did, they'd get waxed. I mean, they'd get killed, just like that incident. Like they shot at us, shot them back like they were dead. They couldn't hold their ground against us because we were such a superior force. What they did, they'd hide from us, and they'd make IEDs, the improvised explosive devices, and roadside bombs. They'd shoot like mortars, snipers, stuff like that. Very, very seldom would we be in like direct contact where we were shooting and the enemy was shooting back.
Okay. I understand there was an incident where one of your platoon members was injured or killed?
He ended up dying. He started as an injury. What happened with that? Like I was saying, myself and my platoon, I say we were very fortunate. Like other members of the company, they'd say like 2nd Platoon was lucky. We didn't have any KIAs or casualties within our platoon, and it just, like, for reasons like I don't know, we'd just be close to contact. We'd just like barely miss it. For that one incident, like we were saying, December 7th, what happened is our platoon, we were doing a mobile insert. We were getting inserted by vehicles. We got on the vehicles in the 7 tons. We drove to the insert point. We got off. The vehicles did a U-turn, turned around. It was not even like 100 meters right after they turned around. Went back on the same route because it was a main road that we felt was very secure. It was the most secure route. The route we had the best eyes on all the time. They turned around like less than 100 meters back, got hit by an IED, disabled the truck. Truck came to a rolling stop, and it wasn't that blast that injured the people. Like the truck was on fire, the truck was disabled. They got off the truck to move to another truck to put out the fires, and this truck actually stopped on top of another. Like when it disabled it, came to a rolling stop, stopped right on top of the secondary IED, which was a much bigger blast. And when it exploded, those 7 tons, like 7 tons plus all that up armor, they weigh around like 11 tons or so, and they're very heavy trucks. And when the blast came under it, it just pushed this blast straight out, and it pretty much lopped everybody off at the legs. Everybody who got hit by it either lost both their legs or one of their legs. This guy who died, he actually got hit, and he bled out from the lower abdomen area.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. So you would say that the deployment, your first deployment, which of course I'm calling it Ramadi 1,
yes,
was the populace and the Iraqis were fairly upset with the Marines?
I'd say they were fairly upset. They didn't like us there for obvious reasons. Like most everything we did, like it was at night. We didn't patrol around in the daytime, just for reasons like what would we gain versus what we would lose. Going around in the daytime, like it was very, very imminent that we would take contact and that we were going to get hit by IEDs. And the reason being, like you could see us very well. Like if the people were around, people would tell the insurgents where we were. It was very hard to move covertly. You just couldn't. Like the insurgents would know exactly where you were all the time. So we tried to limit a majority of our movement at night, being in vehicles for inserts for the armor purposes. And then most of what we did were either raids, where we'd go out and we'd have information on terrorists, and we'd go like kick in the doors and like people's houses and go try to like find this bad guy. Well, what happened a lot of the times is like intel, like always, intel